morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Living with Us. I'm your host, Sharon Mundia, and we're here at Park Inn by Radisson. Now, today's conversation revolves around moving and living abroad. How do you start that journey? How do you start to feel comfortable in a foreign environment? How do you find your space and yourself in a new place? And my guest today has a new book that's coming out that's going to be based exactly on that. Her name is Janet Rangi. She's actually a family psychiatric nurse practitioner, but most of you know her as the vlogger. She's also, now I'm going to add author to that.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm so happy to be in Nairobi, actually.
Yeah? And I know you just flew in.
Yes, Saturday night I came in.
Yeah, so thank you for coming here bright and early. So I'm curious to know a little bit about your journey. I know for me, growing up, I remember the idea, the concept of moving to another country, and more specifically, America, was like you're hitting the jackpot. And green cards were like, oh my gosh. So I'm curious to know, was that ever your wish, or something that you sort of hoped for yourself?
To be quite honest, growing up, I didn't think about it. You know, I didn't grow up in Nairobi, so I wasn't even that exposed, to be quite honest. But then when I finished high school, I met a Catholic priest. Okay. And he happened to have come from Boston. Okay. And he came with some pamphlets from, I think, Clark University in Boston. Okay. And he talked about it, and that's how my interest began.
Oh, after high school?
After high school, I met this priest, and that's how I started thinking about the United States. Yeah. But before maybe 16 years old, it's not anything that crossed my mind. Okay. Yes.
So what was the next step for you? Did you actively start to pursue that at that point? Or? So
after high school, I went to the University of Eastern Africa, Baraton. It's an international school. And then there now my motivation continued. I had so many international students I met, plus, you know, lecturers. And they kind of started exposing me to the outside world. Okay. And so the idea of America started coming in. Now after graduation, I started hearing how people need nurses outside the United States. And so I started going on the
United States.
Actually in the United States, yeah. So I started hearing about that more often, and then I started doing my research.
And were you studying medicine?
I did nursing at Baraton. Okay. So I had my first degree in nursing from Baraton University. In fact, those days we didn't have degrees in nursing. Yeah. When we used to go to Kenyatta Hospital, people were like, who are those? Because most nurses used to go to MTC. So we didn't even have nurses. Baraton was like a pioneer university, actually, East and Central Africa. Yeah. So it was kind of very difficult to blend in. Okay. So it was easy when most of my teachers were from the United States. So it was easier for me to understand. When I'm talking to the teachers, I knew what I was doing. Yeah. When I came to the Kenyan hospitals, it was kind of a challenge. Yeah, yeah. Okay. But these days I hear most universities are offering nursing at a degree level. Yeah.
So what was the next step for you after that?
So I did my research, but one day the agents came to Nairobi. Okay. And it just happened that I had been reading, so it was easy for me to understand.
So and reading about
nursing and moving to the United States, because I heard that nursing in United States, Britain and Australia, you know, it was kind of a hot cake by then. Okay. So this agent came here and they were recruiting, and I did follow up with them, but finally the last one that came, I left information, and when he went back to the United States, they started communicating to me.
And this was an American agent?
Yes.
And they were coming into
Nairobi.
And
people need to know this, they actually come. Oh. So for people who are listening to you viewers, yes, they actually come. So they were coming were they only scouting for nurses, or were they looking for people in other fields? At that point, they were looking for nurses. I will throw in information technology is a big deal in the United States. Yeah. So I'm sure they are looking for such talents. My specialization is in nursing, so I can only talk about nursing. Yeah. And where were they coming when they're looking? And I guess I'm asking also because how do you know that they're coming? Someone stops you on the street and claims to be an agent. So where did they come, and did you ever question whether they were legitimate? Yes, I did question, but you know, most of the time I used to follow people. I'm that person who goes and gets stuff. Okay. So I used to follow people that have been in America and they have relatives in America. Yeah. So by the time I meet them, it's a point of reference.
Okay.
These days, the internet is here.
Yeah.
So you can read about them. And for me, I advise people is you have to know the processes yourself. So when the agent is talking about it, you see the information is matching.
Right.
So you can't just go green.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he goes back and he starts communicating with you.
Exactly.
And what were the requirements at that point?
So the requirements, so this is a very complicated question, but I'll try the best way I can.
Okay.
So for you to work in the United States, you need a license.
Right.
Those days you had to do the nursing exam in the United States, nowhere else.
Okay.
Or in the island of Guam.
Okay.
Okay. So what my agent did, to be quite honest, I went to the embassy and asked for an F1 student visa.
Okay.
And the embassy gave me a visa on English as a student, English as a second language.
Okay.
So I got a visa. It was for 6 to 9 months.
Okay.
And I went to the United States. As soon as I reached there, I was a nurse. I registered for the exams, American exam. Every nurse in the United States, registered nurse, has to do an exam called NCLEX. So when I passed the NCLEX exam, they gave me a license in the state of Nevada. So when I got that license, then the ball started rolling. Because once you have the nursing license, the agent gets a lawyer for you, and the lawyer goes to the immigration and say, hey, we have a nurse, there's a need for nurses. Can you change her visa from student to green card?
Right.
So when they changed the visa to green card, then in that process, I stopped going to school.
Okay.
And then I just had a work permit, and then the hospital sponsored me for the green card, and I worked for them for 4 years.
Oh, wow. All right. So let's talk about the moment that you first landed in Nevada. It's Nevada that you were in?
Actually, Nevada is where I registered for the exam because it was a shortcut. This is another thing I'm telling you.
Okay.
These are little snippets and shortcuts I can tell you.
Okay.
Is not all states require 2 exams. Some states require 2 exams. Nevada is one of those states that only required 1 exam. And New Mexico and the others. I don't know about these days.
Okay.
So my agent was smart enough. So we registered in Nevada, but I landed in Vermont.
Okay.
But the goal was for me to do 1 exam.
Right.
And escape the other one.
The second one.
Yes.
Okay, so where did you first?
I landed in Vermont.
And is that where you were staying?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Burlington, Vermont, or Coach. Actually, I landed in St. Michael's College, Vermont.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm curious to know about your experience, and was that your first time outside of Kenya?
Not Kenya. I had been to Uganda and Tanzania. That's it. Yeah.
So, was there any culture shock?
Yes.
Did you tell me about that?
A lot.
And please break it down, because I think for a lot of people, the idea of leaving the country and going to a foreign country to work, to study, can be very glamorized.
Yes.
But I can only imagine, and I know I've experienced it when I went to uni.
Yeah.
There are moments where you're like,
what did I do?
Well, yeah, what did I sign up for?
Yes.
So can you take me through that? And if you had those moments, how did you overcome that?
And I'm glad you asked this question, because in my book I tackle culture shock.
Yeah.
Culture shock just means that you are in a foreign land and you have to adapt to the new land.
Yeah.
You don't go there thinking like that country has to adapt to Kenya.
Yeah.
It's you to learn that they can't come here and ask you to change Kenya to their country. So you have to understand that I'm going to a new country, they are doing things a different way. But to reach there, first of all, maybe this will make the interview too long, but I went pregnant. So let's save that.
Wait,
so it was even worse. So my situation was even worse. If Janet did it, anyone can do it.
No, I've got, what?
I went there pregnant, yes. Okay.
How many months pregnant were you when you landed?
Let me not even say. 8 months.
You're kidding.
Talk of determination. Who else can tell you these things? No, I'm the best person to write American Success Pathways.
And that's the name of your new book.
That is the name of my book, and we'll talk in details how it goes.
Right.
But honestly, if someone took that book and put in my hands, I don't know why people read other books. All books should be about helping you. How are they changing your life? Yeah. This book changes your life, basically. Do you know what I mean?
That just feels like the odds are stacked
now
against
you see how you went to uni, and there was no one to tell you, Janet has arrived.
Wow.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm walking you through, and that's what I do when I'm blogging. Actually, I prepare people when they're here. I prepare them into the embassy, and actually the embassy will be receiving very qualified applicants now. I'm kind of cleaning them up and helping them, go there more prepared so they can save money. You don't want to throw away your money without knowing what you're walking into. You know what I mean? So you know exactly, not exactly, but you have an idea.
I have an idea. So
then when they fly in the United States, now again they have Janet Rangi.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? I'm walking you through, so I'm cutting the learning curve.
Yeah.
So that people don't have to go through what you're telling me. So basically the language, when I go there, I thought I knew how to speak English. Then I realized, no, actually, I don't know how to speak English. Or maybe this is different English. In the United States, they have different ways of just, even the spellings are different. Like the word color, theirs is L-O.
Yeah.
So ours, maybe it's British. I can't speak of British because I haven't been there.
It is British. It is British. So we have the U.
Yes.
So I know, like I've had friends who went and when they asked for water, someone was like, "What is that?"
Yes.
She's like, "I want water," and
like
they have to say water.
Yeah. So you have to kind of change your accent just a little bit.
Yeah.
So now I understand when you see people changing accents, it's not necessarily that they don't want to use their language back home. They are fitting into the society so that people can understand what you're trying to say. You know, like my first job, they threw me in the emergency room. And then the patients will call me and say, "Can I have a pitcher of water?" I'm like, "What is a pitcher of water?" You know what I mean? "Can I have graham crackers?" What are graham crackers? So can I have Jello? At least I worked in Aga Khan. I knew what Jello is. You know what I mean? So those are the little culture shock. Doesn't mean that I was less. I wasn't any less. Yeah, Janet. You know, I'm telling you the truth.
I'm laughing, but it's because I can understand how you just be like, what is a pitcher of, why don't you just say a jug?
A jug. Yeah. Just tell me a jug of water, and then I'm like, can you understand that? I don't know.
And so did you find, did that sort of lead to some friction between you and
the new Americans are very friendly.
Okay.
So, well, to me. Okay. And also it's my attitude.
Yeah.
For me, I never look on the negative. I'm always a positive person. So by the time you even realize I didn't know what I was doing, we are having fun already. You know what I mean? So I'm like, what do you mean? And then one day, because I had never, can you imagine me growing up in the village? I've only grown with Africans, and then I'm being thrown in a ward. Yeah. Here you call them ward, that's another thing. They call them floors. You know, those little things.
Right.
And everyone around me was Caucasian. And they would laugh. I told him, you know what, this is my first time. You just have to excuse me. I feel so overwhelmed. Yeah, but the good thing is they are very understanding. They are fascinated. Let me just say like that.
Okay.
And the fascination, they want to hear more about you.
Yeah. And I think what you've just said also is a good takeaway, which is you were very honest about it. You weren't trying to pretend that you knew what you were doing. You just were like, listen.
And they loved it. They love that. They love that. Yeah. Wow. So you have to be honest. Yeah. Like going to drive, that's another thing. I didn't know how to drive. That's the culture shock. Yeah. I never drove a car in Kenya. And then in the United States, they don't have public transport unless you're in the big cities.
What do you mean?
You have to. So for your viewers who want to come to the Americas, I always tell them, not Americas, the United States. Okay. You have to know how to drive. Without driving, you're basically...
But their bus, in fact, I thought that their transport system is quite organized.
I hear it's advanced in Europe. I've never been there. There, Americans have privacy, personal space. Okay. It's you and your car. You know what I mean? Now, if you're in big cities like New York, Los Angeles, you know, they can have public transport. But basically, generally speaking, in America, everyone has a car. And in fact, in every family, it's 2 cars, not 1. Oh. So everyone has their own car. So most families, there are 2 or 3 cars. You see what I mean? So me, my spouse, everyone with their own car, because one person is at work, one is picking the kids. Yeah.
But surely there were buses. I mean, if you landed and you didn't have the finances to buy a car, how would you get from, and if you're in a smaller, you know, not the big cities, but one of the smaller states, how do you then move from A to B? I thought there's access to buses at the very least.
Actually, in those small cities, if you are walking on the road, sometimes they'll think you're homeless. Or probably you lost your driver's license. Or maybe you just drank too much alcohol, used drugs, and now you can't even qualify to get a driver's license. Wow. Don't get me wrong, I'm just telling you, but if you're in Los Angeles, people are walking, they're exercising, is different. But these little towns, and the good news, the system will allow you to get the car. Okay. The system is designed in a way that you will get the car. Right. So that's all I can say, because if we go into the details, this will be an interview for 5 days. Right. That's why they need to follow Janet Rangi. I blog on Facebook, and
pick up your new book.
Pick up my new book, because this will cut your learning curve, and I can't wait 3 years from now, because that will be a perfect product. Because the questions you're asking me, I'm very fascinated. I'm so happy, because some of them you're bringing up and some people didn't even ask me. Right. You know what I mean? So this book answers such, because it goes straight to the customer. What is the customer wanting to know? You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to the States with a B2 visiting visa, Janet, what can I do? Right. So I give options. Do I just have to fly back home? Right. And then the book tells you
everything.
I can't even release everything here, because my followers are they are paying for the conference. Did you know I'm having a conference?
Right. Tell me about
July 13th, Daystar University. Okay. We are ironing out the details, but they are coming. You know, they are the ones who want the first-hand information.
Okay.
I'm going to break down the book and break down all the details. I'm sure some of your viewers listening to me, they are having a visiting visa. They're like, oh my, I need to know.
Yeah.
The book.
July 13th.
Conference.
I've laughed so hard in the
Okay, thank you. I love that.
And it's because you're so honest and you're putting it out on the table. She's got a new book that's launching, and she's also got a conference coming up on 13th of
July 13th.
Yes. And in both the book and the conference, she's just detailing what her experience was moving to America and giving you everything that you need to know so that you don't take, you know, X amount of time. If it can be reduced even by, you know, however much, she's offering you all the details.
Exactly.
And we've got her on the show, which means I'm going to ask her some extra questions.
Ooh,
for
well,
our viewers.
good. Yeah.
So before the break, you were taking me through the moments where, I mean, there was so much culture shock.
Yes.
How long did it take you to overcome that? How long before you felt settled?
Okay. And this is something I've read, like culture shock has stages, and everyone is different. Yeah,
okay.
There are stages of culture shock. In my case, it took me almost 7 years. Now, I have to define that.
Okay.
During those 7 years, of course, I was working and life was going on.
Yeah.
But I was not accepting my new home.
What do you mean by that?
Because now I had to make America my new home.
Yeah.
And it was taking me long.
Okay.
So basically they say the first stage is excitement stage.
Okay.
Oh wow, look at this, the nice cars, the light, look, the nice roads, wow, look at the people. I can't wait to meet the people. You're excited.
Yeah.
Then you move into adjustment stage. Now you're realizing, oh my, there's no gully. Where do I shop here?
Yeah.
Okay, they drive on the right, we drive on the left.
Yeah.
Okay, what did I do, like what you're saying at uni, like what did I sign up for? But you're adjusting, okay? Then later on you move into the final stage, which is acceptance. And that acceptance is what we want everyone. Around the second stage is where people get depressed.
Okay.
People get some depression.
Did you experience that?
A little bit, yes.
Okay.
You know, because it's cold also.
Okay.
You know, I grew up with warm weather, and now I have to see snow for the first time.
Yeah.
I have to know how to shove snow.
Yeah.
I have to go out there, work after work. I come out and my whole car is white with snow. Where do I even start? I don't even know how to scoop the snow out of there. So I have to know the right equipment. I have to know the right dressing. I have to know the right shoes, the gloves, how everything, you know, they look like little things, but all those things come with time.
Right.
Yeah, but all I'm saying, people are different, so it's good for you to understand. Now that you have Janet Rangi,
yeah,
your adjustment stage should be as short as 6 months.
Right, right, because they don't have to
move quick to acceptance. You've moved on. You went and lined up for a visa. Everyone wants that visa. Why are you going there to complain?
Okay. Was your daughter with you at this time?
No, actually it's my son.
Oh, sorry.
No, I have a son and a daughter.
Okay, okay.
So my son now is 15 years old.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Yeah,
that time he was with me, and raising my son was a challenge. So that's why my adjustment stage took too long.
Right.
You see, here we have a lot of help.
Yeah.
But there we depend on daycares, and sometimes we have some, especially like in our community, we have Kenyan mothers that come to visit their kids in the United States,
right,
who are citizens, and we use them too. Because they are just at home, so we can drop our kids in the home and then they take care of their kids, our kids, and they teach them some Swahili or something like that. So it is that kind of help. If there's no help from Kenyans, then there's help from the American, they have daycares. So for me, I used to work in New Jersey.
Okay.
But I used to live in a state called Delaware. You know, the East Coast, their states are very little and they are together.
Okay.
There's good road network. So I used to live in Delaware. So in the morning, I'd wake up with my son, drive to Maryland. That's where my babysitter was. Drop my son in Maryland.
How long is that distance for
We are talking about 15 minutes.
Okay, 15.
And then go to Maryland, and then in another 15 minutes or 20, I'm in New Jersey.
Okay.
Okay, then I work, and then in the evening again, same trip, New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware.
Wow.
So, you know, that's why my adjustment stage took too long.
Yeah.
I was a new mom. First of all, I'm not accepting that I'm no longer young. Now I'm becoming a mother. You know, so I'm mixing motherhood, mixing new country, new career, new environment. It was too much for me. It was overwhelming.
So how did you overcome those moments of depression? Those moments where you start to think, wow, food doesn't taste the way I like it, or I can't find ugali, and I'm tired of this accent, and
yes, so for the most, you have to meet people from your own country.
Okay.
Those weekends are very important, meeting people from your own country and talking and entertaining yourselves. Unfortunately, many people end up with alcohol. People end up drinking alcohol thinking they're having fun, but really they're treating depression. For me, I didn't even know it was depression. Now that I've done psychiatry, I know it was depression. Depression is just a mood disorder. And it doesn't have to come with sadness or crying. It's just changes in mood. Anger is one of them. Irritability is one of them. Like when I'm walking here in Nairobi, I see everything. I can just listen to you and I diagnose. Yeah, but people don't take mental health seriously. But that's for another day.
I mean, I agree with you. I think, you know, it's important to note that there's more and more conversation taking place around mental health. And we're trying slowly to destigmatize it the more we talk about it. But we have a long way to go. A long way to go.
But I didn't get treatments. But when I went back to school, now something kept on pushing me towards it because I knew there was a problem I had at that point. And I'm glad when I went to school, it has really helped me because I've learned a lot about the medicines and the therapies. You know what I mean? Yeah, so I don't have, you know, like major depression. Mine you'd call depressive disorder. That's situational.
Okay.
It's not something that is me, so I can't tell people I have depression for now. No, I don't have depression.
So would you say that the grass is always greener? And I'm asking this for the people who, again, growing up, I remember the green card was, I mean, the holy grail, the ticket, the golden ticket. And then at some point, it that sort of disappeared, and there was not that much excitement. I remember people just being more excited actually about Kenya and exploring the different work options. So would you say for the people who still have that kind of you know, interest in moving to the United States, is the grass greener, or how would you?
Honestly, all over the world, not just Kenya, everyone knows the United States to be a beacon of hope, and that is true. And the green card is the best visa you can always get because it moves you closer to citizenship. So the benefits are much closer, and if not all of them, apart from voting, you can't vote, but everything else basically you enjoy. Now it depends how you're going to use that visa. If you use it the right way, and I talk about it in my books and everything, if you use the right way, yes. Personally, if I was to give an example, when I was a nurse here in Aga Khan, in the morning I would walk there and I see doctors coming in and pharmacists driving big cars. And I used to wonder, when will mine come? And then I'm earning 23,000, so you do the math. Now I drive a Mercedes Benz, I've driven a Touareg, not showing off the, you know, but...
no, but I'm glad that you're saying
people on my page know I talk like this. For your new viewers, they'll have to get used to me. It's part of the motivation.
No, but I love that.
But you get the point. You see what I mean? So you look at yourself, and if you go with that positive attitude and know that if the whole world knows that this is the beacon of hope, there's something. But I've met people who come there and they're like, no, this is not for me.
So do you think...
They come back, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. That do you think that this would sort of... It works for some people, and for some people it just can't?
Yes, some people it just can't, and for me it's personality. It comes to you as an individual. Or lack of information. Yes, and then also you don't have people to take you through the new system, so you can start early. By the time you realize it's like 5 years, and some people say, what, 5 years, 7 years, what can I do? It's kind of too late. And then it's hard for you to roll back. But even if with those 7 years, if you start, you'll be okay. All right. So, and those opportunities are there. I talk about them in the book again, but basically it depends on you. Yeah.
So let's go back a little bit to the agent. And I'm sure that there are fake agents as well in the market. How would you have any tips on how to spot someone who's fake from the real deal?
Yes, and you're asking the right person. Honestly, I've been doing this for almost 3 years, and I've gotten a lot of information in the inbox. How people get, you know, people have been conned. People have been scammed out of thousands and thousands of dollars, up to 300,000 shillings, you know, 180,000 shillings. So the internet is full of scammers. But, you know, like you can tell from the, like the websites, for me just being in the United States, I can tell which one is for the real immigration, which one is for the embassy, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to educate people and post such things. You just have to familiarize. I always say you always go for the, if it's .org or .com, you want to make sure maybe United States Embassy, Nairobi. You know what I mean? You go to the real website. Before you even go names and funny numbers or something, it's very hard to know. That's for real. And because sometimes people are kind of desperate for help, they kind of fall for these things.
Did you have to pay the agent at any point? Was there any like, you know, I guess my question is, if someone is asking you for money.
They did ask for money.
Okay. So
yeah, they did ask for money. Okay. For mine, when I went there was plans for me to pay back. And people need to understand that agents are also people in business.
Right.
You see? And so you just have to know which, that's why I say from the beginning, you have to know how the process works.
Okay.
So when the agent is telling you, you are not that green. Right. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And you have to understand, you put everything together. Like me, if someone had to ask me for, let's say, 40,000 Kenya shillings, and I'm looking at that something I will earn in 3 days, for example, was it worth it? Yes. Okay. And so I don't know how to tell you other than maybe if they follow me, I kind of post those pictures because the internet is so big, so but they are real.
Okay.
And actually, that's one thing people follow me for. They're like, Janet, for once we have someone, because I give free information and I never hide anything and say, okay, follow me and then now you'll pay later. And then, you know, those scammy things. No, I don't do such things.
So actually, let's talk a little bit about that, your Facebook page. What was the point at which you realized that this is something that you wanted to do, to offer advice and to help people?
Some of it is inborn.
Okay.
I've always known that there's something in me that I have to give back. Okay. But then I was not a Facebook person. But when I went on Facebook, I captured the moment real quick. I say, when in the world will you have access to millions of people as a regular person?
Right.
And I said, okay, this is our platform. Then I just made one video short.
What year was this?
I started doing this in 2017.
2017, so okay.
But I've been on this road almost 2016. I used to do other things before Facebook.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then every time I posted, I would see questions.
So in 2017, you posted your first video.
Yes.
And what was the video about? Do you remember?
I think it had to do something about America and my life.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
But the comments is what caught me. You know, they ask real questions like, Janet, and then I would answer.
Right.
Then the next time I will see a bigger group. And then I disappeared. I would have had some personal issues of myself. I would disappear. And then when I come back, I say, we missed you. I'm like, okay, there's something here.
Yeah.
You know, like people I don't know are telling me, Janet, we missed you.
Right.
We love you, you know. Then I'm like, okay, let me make now. Then the third time when I came back, I said, no, let me make this final. So I promised them that I'll always be there. And I said, doing 3 videos per week.
Wow.
Consistently since 2017, I believe.
And in those videos, you're sharing all these tips. All these essentially tips. What you're saying.
Actually, they can go and listen to them. It's just the people coming to the conference, to be quite honest, most of them want to shake my hands.
Oh. And ask those extra questions. I'm sure there are other questions that they don't know how
and there are some things they know I can't say on Facebook.
Right.
And those are the things they're coming for.
All right.
They're out there listening.
Conference again is July 13th.
July 13th, Daystar University main campus. No, at KNH.
Okay. Okay.
Valley Road, right?
Valley Road. And I've got Janet Rangi, who is a blogger and a new author of the book The American Success Pathways. You have cracked me up.
Thank you.
Then some.
I like that.
Thank you. And I love that you've been also very honest. And actually, during the break, I was asking her, like, you know, sometimes when people do come back from the States or abroad, whether it's Dubai, wherever it is that they've gone to work, they usually come with a very dark and like a very heavy perspective of what it's been like for them. But you, I mean, you've been very honest too about your down, you know, the moments where you just felt like, I don't know how I'm going to come out of it. But I love that you also paint a great picture of hope and success.
Thank you.
Yeah. Are you happy?
I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm a very positive person, as you can tell. I was telling you during the break that I always focus on the positive aspects of life rather than the dark side. And people have those experiences. But I think the more we speak about these things, the more people start even opening their eyes. You know, even the ones who are talking about dark things will start asking themselves, is there something I could have done differently? Maybe I just didn't have the information. You know what I mean? Or maybe it was the fear. Or maybe it was the counting down. Many people ask me about age on my blogs.
What do you mean?
Oh, they keep on saying, Janet, I'm 35 years old. Do you think I can come? I'm like, in the United States, 35, you're just beginning. You haven't even gotten married. People get married at 40 or 50. That's when they're having real life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, 35 is a baby. You know what I mean? So, like, What I'm trying to say is
I love that you said 35 is a baby.
Oh yes, I'm in America because life expectancy, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, and retirement is 65, 70, and you can work as long as you want.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I have to see those differences, and I tell them, no, 35 is you're still young.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, they're learning. Right.
So if you had to break it down to maybe 2 or 3 survival tips for someone who's already got their paperwork and is, you know, looking to travel at some point in the near future.
Yes.
What are the 2 or 3 main survival tips that you would share?
I think keep an open mind.
Okay.
Surround yourself with forward-thinking people.
Yeah.
Role models. Choose someone that has made it already.
Okay.
Okay. And then accept that this is a new country.
Okay.
And they will do things differently.
Right. Yes. Because I guess some people hold on to, but this isn't how.
This is
what I know.
You are welcomed. So you know you can share what you have, but then there are things you are not there to change. You are there to adjust.
Yeah.
So you have. For me, the biggest is adjusting. You know, it's coping. You have to find ways to cope, but start quick.
And by start quick,
means that look at who will I be 5 years from now.
Okay.
Don't start asking those questions 5 years later.
Yeah, right.
You need to ask them on day 1.
Right.
What do I want out of this? Even before you take the plane. What do I want out of this? The truth is, in the United States, I'm not lying to you, it's true. You can become what you want. It's for real. It's for real. And then that's another thing, especially, you know, like college students, university students listen to me. And here we grew up. And then depending on how much you scored in high school, they'll determine what you want. You know what I mean? Okay, you got a C+, or you got a B-, you're going to do education. You got an A, you're going to do medicine, engineering, business. But in the United States, you change.
Right.
So I tell them, you know, you come, when you are in the United States, then you get to change to whatever you want.
Right.
Yeah, so if you wanted to be a pilot, that's what, when people say America is a land of, a beacon of hope, that's what they mean. Because when you go there, you can become a pilot for real.
You've been there for 16 years.
Yes.
And you've witnessed different presidents,
yes.
You know?
Yes.
Have you sensed a change with the current, you know, political party that's in place? Has it changed at all your perception of America or your experience in the country?
No, because I'm so experienced and I understand American politics.
Right.
You see, if you're on the other side, you think you know politics. Until you go there, the politics is different. Okay? So for me, I'm not a political person, but I can tell you that I always remind people. For me, I went during the President Bush. Okay? And he did a lot when it came to HIV. If people don't know about that, he did a lot. And then I witnessed President Obama in the office, and then I've witnessed President Trump. I can tell you the same country that chose President Obama is the same country that chose President Trump. So always remember there are two sides of the story. Okay? So when you focus on just, okay, this is the regime now, this was the regime then, you're trying to generalize the country. Remember that, okay? The people in the middle are very few. They're the ones who decide elections. Whether it's President Obama, whether it's President Trump, always remember the people in the middle are the ones that decide elections. When you think like that, you will not even see that. But that's Janet saying. You know what I mean? For me, I'm not into politics a lot, but I can tell you, just remember, it's the same country. I know the political climate has changed. Okay, there's a lot of fear with the current administration. I have to be honest about that. But for me, because I've lived there, I understand some of the things coming up. They are kind of pondering to the base. We call them the base. Okay, like me, I have a Facebook page. When I'm talking, I know who is listening to me, and whatever I say, it has to cater to my followers.
Okay.
Yeah, when you understand the basics of politics is like that. You have to understand who is your follower.
Right.
And those are some of the tips I have to teach people. Then you will never get angry. You will never get mad, because when President Trump is talking, he's talking to his follower.
Right.
It will anger someone else. When President Obama was talking, he was talking to his follower.
Yeah.
And the follower is smiling. You know what I mean? So these are politicians, my friends.
You know,
but to say that it hasn't changed, the whole world is alarmed, kind of scared.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it's a different environment, to be quite honest, because I'm talking at a different level. You see what I mean? Not everyone will think like me.
Right. And you, in fact, what's becoming so clear, you know, the longer I get to speak to you, is that I think you could have moved to Mars, Jamaica, you'd have still been successful.
I'd still be okay.
You'd have still been able to make it and create something that you are proud of.
Yes, yes.
Wow. Okay. So
and I'm glad you brought I don't talk about politics, but I'm happy about that, because now that I have this platform, for me, just being in healthcare, I can tell you whatever happened with the HIV, it was very good. What President Bush did is still lingering around. And from what I'm doing now, there's this network called YALI. It was started by President Obama. And he encourages young Africans to be entrepreneurs, and they sponsor them to go to the United States and then hopefully bring back some of the things they've learned. Okay, so I have to mention some of the things that I've picked up. Let's hope that I'll pick something from President Trump. But they are still running the YALI network. The YALI is still active at the White House. YALI network. It was started by President Obama, but it's still current. They are still recruiting.
So you've talked about, you know, how they're, you know, trying to empower the youth, and then hopefully that they will come back and then bring those skill sets into the country.
Yes.
Do you ever see yourself coming back?
Yes, like now. Can you imagine? I took the plane and came.
Not to visit. Coming to, do you ever see yourself relocating?
I haven't thought about that, but I don't see why not. Right. You know, this will always be home. This is my home. Okay, but I was adopted. Right. You know, I was adopted in America. Yeah. And I like it there too. You see what I mean? Yeah. This is home. Okay. This will always be home. Because even if I talk, they'll always ask me, where is your accent from? So they know I'm not American. As much as I have a passport, obviously my accent will always kind of tell them, she's new. Right. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about American Success Pathways.
Yes.
Why did you feel the need to write the book? I mean, given how successful your Facebook and your audience was growing, why did you feel the need to push it on to, like, you know, have the book?
First of all, my story. Okay, many people can learn from the story. Okay, and I introduced that in the book. But secondly, is the number of questions were overwhelming. Okay, it looks like I filled a gap that was empty. And so many questions would come, and I was very responsive when there were very few followers. And that's how I grew so fast, because it was word of mouth. It was Facebook, but it was word of mouth. Okay. But through these many questions, I learned the need. And I say, okay, since I don't get to answer everyone, why not start packaging this into a future book? Do you see what I mean? Right. So that way, when you're asking one question, I realize when one person asks, 10 people are like, yay, I was thinking of the same question. So like if you have a book that is explaining and telling them about all this, then thousands, hopefully millions can learn from one question. Right. Okay? So the Success Pathway books, I'm very passionate about seeing people coming to America, as you said, and they give up. Some of them really just can't do it. It's personality, they come back. But some of them, they have that chance, but they cannot. Okay? So this is kind of passion also, telling people it's possible. Look at yourself, what is missing? What is missing? So I'm just creating this link and filling a void that no one was talking about this issue. You know, to be quite honest, it's possible, but people need to know it's possible, but how? Right. But how? So the book is going through that. It's about a story and helping to uplift the young people, especially those are most of my followers are in their 20s and 30s. That's what Facebook tells me. Ah, so most of them are 20s and 30s. 30s and their parents. Their parents are also big. Their parents, they send me messages. Janet, because of you, my daughter is in the United States, you know. Yeah. Yeah. And it's everywhere. No, today we are focused in Kenya, but they're all over Africa. So I'm curious to know, do you think that there is, you know, there's a fear of young, qualified, energetic youth going and the country sort of losing its hold on like expertise and qualified, whether it's doctors or pilots or just
is that something that you've witnessed, that there's more and more people leaving the country, and that there will essentially then be a gap because
there has always been that debate on brain drain in many forums, because most people believe, okay, you need to improve Africa, not come this way. But from history, we've seen, I think, was it Tom Mboya and other people who've been trying to pull Africans to go there and come back. And people, even universities, organizations give scholarships because they know that there are some things they can learn from there and bring back home. But in general, because, you know, sometimes it's very expensive to train these people. And just to see them leave the country in masses, it's something that is concerning. Having said that, I learned capitalism. I love competition. I just believe that when there's competition somewhere, people will wake up. When you see you have no nurses, you're going to wake up. You know what I mean? It just creates space. Like here, the youth, some of them, at least the ones who follow me, some of them are jobless. You know what I mean? So I just believe like exposing them to more opportunities is going to create opportunities for them and for the country. They are giving back. Do you know how many people send dollars back in Kenya? You know what I mean? So eventually these things start rolling and rolling, and the information, and then I'm providing an example that you don't have to go there where they give you a scholarship. You go there and you just think about yourself. Because most of the time when they go there, they're like, who is going to go back? And I realize it's a talent, it's a passion. Not everyone can do it. But the more people start doing what I'm doing now, whether it's in engineering, whether it's in business, whether it's wherever field they are, with technology, everything is possible now. But yes, I'm concerned about brain drain, but I believe competition will take care of that. When people know there is a problem, they'll need to wake up. Competition is the best thing that can ever make people succeed. At least I love capitalism. That's what makes them successful. If you can't provide a good service, someone else will. Yeah.
All right. So once again, you have a conference.
Yes.
July 13th.
Yes.
What can people expect that day?
Okay, so university admissions, how to apply for university admissions, community colleges, how to apply for scholarships, how to pay. That's a big one. How to pay for colleges in the United States, because money is a big issue. And that's one we'll cover. Because some people think you have to be a millionaire to go to America, and I'm here to say no. And that's what they're coming for the conference. They're believing in themselves, they're feeling empowered, they're being told you don't need an agent necessarily. You can do these things on your own. And they are being told, yes, Janet has life examples of success stories already. In 2 years, I can't believe it. I have people in the United States on scholarships. I have people who've come there for the first time. They're like, I was the first person to get a visa. People are going to the embassy more prepared. Janet is preparing you for the embassy, preparing you for university admission, colleges, and just how to survive when you and I did summarize everything, but there's a lot to learn when they come.
All right.
Yes, July 13th at 9 in the morning, we'll give details.
I'm sure we'll have them on the screen as well.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you so much, Janet Rangi, ladies and gentlemen. You are a force to reckon with. I do mean that. I think anywhere in the world you go, I'm pretty certain you're going to make it.
Oh, thank you so much.
Tough one, and
thank you so much.
You will make good out of lemonade out of lemons.
Exactly. Thank you so much. It's so nice having you here. I enjoyed everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's show as much as I did. I hope you laughed as much as I did, and I hope you learned too. And remember, if you want to connect with Janet Rangi, you can just check her out on Facebook and on Instagram, and check out the conference as well if this is something that is of interest to you. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place here on NTV. For now, I'm going to love you and leave you. Bye. Everybody.